Welcome to Living with Purpose, our Living with Purpose book that is coming out in partnership with One Golden Nugget. If you are interested, please reach out. But today I have a wonderful guest, Naomi Mathew Vettath. She is a student at the University of Washington in the Masters of Communication. She's also an architect from India, the same profession that I graduated in. She worked with a architectural firm in Ahmedabad where I studied. So there is this very nice connection. But more importantly to all of this, Naomi has really been driven by purpose and the importance of purpose. And she has been instrumental in designing our brand guideline for all of our materials at Purpose Mindset, purpose-mindset.org. So if you want to check out our work, you can go look at all the wonderful things she's done. So with that, Naomi, welcome to Living with Purpose.
Thank you so much, Akhtar, for inviting me to be here. I am extremely honored.
So talk a bit about your journey. So you grew up in India, you studied in India, you graduated with architecture, you practiced in a firm, but then you have pivoted and you suddenly land up in Seattle. So take us through your journey, your growing up, and things that have really influenced you.
So I grew up in India, like you mentioned, did my undergrad in architecture in Bangalore, worked in the interior firm of HCP, which is handled by Kanna Patel, and she has become my lifelong mentor also. And through architecture, I've realized the impact of design in the world. And then I got married and came to Seattle, and here too I found ComLead program through actually their consulting wing, where they were looking for volunteers to help out during the pandemic. And I sort of found my new passion pivoted from architecture to UX through the consultancy, and then found my way to the program where I'm currently a student. And that's sort of very short description of how I got here. I've been incredibly blessed with my family growing up, with the very loving husband that I have right now. And they've all supported me to reach where I am. And each step of the way, I have had mentors and professors who have inspired me to where I am right now.
So talk a little bit more in detail about your journey, right? So why architecture? Just share a little bit about your growing up, right? You grew up in Bangalore, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I grew up in Kerala.
Right. So just talk a little bit about your journey and why architecture. How did you get to Bangalore? So our listeners kind of get this sense of your growing up and some key moments that really inspired to get into architecture.
Okay, so while growing up, I was always interested in drawing. That used to be my hobby. It still is. It's how I connect to myself in a way. So architecture and that, and I had my uncle and aunt who were architects, so architecture sort of seemed like a very natural progression. And I reached Bangalore to do my undergrad, and through college too, I really enjoyed drawing things out, finding out what the other person, so whoever the client is, whoever who you're designing for, what their key problems is a very heavy word, but wherever their inconvenience are. So finding out that and actually designing for it to solve those larger problems. One very interesting story that in that moment happened where we were designing for a client, and he said that he wanted a swimming pool in his house. But while talking to him and realizing, asking insightful questions and just trying to understand why that was necessary, we realized that wasn't the case at all. All he really wanted was to look at water. That is what he enjoyed. So we ended up just doing like a large aquarium, like a fish tank of sorts, and that's all he wanted. And but then the way he said it was that he wanted a swimming pool, but that's not what he wanted at all. So I guess conversations like that really inspired me, where people say something, but the ulterior feeling or the emotion behind it could be completely different. And the way you ask questions, the way you talk to them really have an impact to get that complete sense of the picture. So through architecture, I was a able to develop this, and I'm still in progress of developing this aspect of the skill set. And I realized when I just delving deep into that, interior architecture was something that I really enjoyed. And that's how I actually went to Ahmedabad with Kana Patel. And that firm too, she is amazing. We've done some amazing work. She's actually doing the interiors of the parliament currently. And through different projects that she had done too, I was able to sort of get this insight completely and dive deep into this. And coming to Seattle, this aspect of talking to people, understanding what and why that drives them, I guess, was always a curiosity element for me. I always asked people about, why do you think that way? I was always curious to know more things. And I realized that UX design is something very similar to that. So I did like a natural progression to UX. And I guess that's sort of how I reached to where I am right now. A lot of key moments happened and people who inspired me. And yeah, I guess, does that give a bit of background to my thinking?
Yes, let me just kind of, for our listeners, a couple of things that you kind of said. I don't want it to kind of get glossed over. So first of all, I mean, you're the second architect on our podcast. I did one with another young architect that is doing some amazing work in developing, using shipping containers as a way to create affordable dwelling. I think what is interesting about the space of architecture, that one actually thinks that it is really just creating physical form. But it is really more than that. It is really a manifestation of a lifestyle. It is really how you understand what somebody needs by asking questions and creating a physical space that allows them to thrive in it. So it's not just about putting things together and yes, you create a building which becomes the final form. But at the end of the day, it is really individual experiences that we all go through. So architecture is really, in some ways, about that. You also kind of mentioned the Parliament building and the interiors. I just want our listeners to know that this is the new Parliament complex that is being designed in India, in New Delhi, and Kana Patel is actually doing the interiors. Her brother, Bimal Patel, did the architecture for the building. So there is just this context. Let's talk a little bit about your journey. You got introduced to the concept of purpose through
your
class.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that and then why you found purpose to be such an important thing for you and your life.
So it's actually a very interesting aspect after all. So I guess all my life, I knew that I had to answer the larger questions of life about why am I here on this earth for and things like that. But you came to class that day about 1 year ago now and spoke a whole lot about purpose and why it matters and what actually it is. And that sort of put a lot of things in perspective for me. And you said something that day that still sticks with me. You said that purpose is a choice. And that if you choose to make decisions for your purpose, enhancing your purpose daily, and that is what is called the purpose mindset. And if you do that, you sort of get more fulfillment in life. You are more content in life. And that really stuck with me. You can't live without a purpose, I guess, in a way. It's not entirely life or death situation if you don't have your purpose, but really choosing to follow that through, choosing to make every small decision based on the larger aspect of why are you here today? I think that really helps me be more content in life, be more joyful, happier, whichever word makes sense. But excites you to wake up daily. And that really put that perspective in me. And I know I speak for almost all my class too. A lot of us were so inspired after your lecture that day and your recent batch too that you had spoken to last month. A lot of students came up to me and said Akhtar's presentation was really inspiring. So thank you so much for inspiring people and sparking that purpose mindset in so many of us. Just wanted to plug in there. But back to the question of why that's important for me, I realized I think my purpose is what excites me in the morning. And it's sort of still a progress, I would say. I don't think I have it perfectly articulated yet. But I think that's one of the beauty of just purpose in general. It doesn't have to be one sentence that you write one fine day and you stick to it. It completely keeps developing. It's completely natural for it to be a progress. So for me, I think I'm still in the progress of writing my purpose, and I'm still in the progress of reaching or developing more about it. And that's sort of how it's been very
Yeah.
exciting.
So, well, I mean, look, purpose is a journey, right? At every stage in life, you will continue to evolve and change, and purpose will also change with your circumstances.
Definitely.
But I think the more important thing is not necessarily about that statement that you will end up writing,
Yeah.
but it is the small acts of living it. Right?
Yes.
And it is that application of your strengths, your values, and these little small things that you do that allows you to connect back into who you are. And it's then that
Right.
connection starts becoming deeper and deeper, which then gets you to show up in a way that is actually very different.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about, why, how do you use it when, it's great to, when times are good, everything is good and it's fine. But when we all go through these journeys,
Mm.
and how do you think purpose manifests itself when the times get tough?
I think that's such an important aspect of when you're trying to, just live day to day. So for me, ever after that class act that I've been thinking what my purpose is and why do I live daily. And it seems very intangible at this moment. But for me, I think the most important thing is I want to make the world a safer place, more kinder space, more joyful space, and for everyone. And that being said, that as that puzzle piece feels very intangible at this moment. But what I do know, what feels tangible, is that I can do my part in making my world a little kinder, a little safer, a little more joyful for people around me. And I try to make decisions, everything that I do, I try to do one step with that in mind. And for me, since I have that in my mind, even when things are tough, I know that there's never a perfect time to do anything. Whatever I need to do it now. And whenever I do something, do all that I can. That is something I've been holding on to. And having that larger purpose of so many people have make the world a better place as their purpose, but having that in mind, I think certainly helps in having every conversation with whoever, doing any small act, making sure that you really touch within and, you introspect and think for yourself, are you doing this for yourself and for the others around you? If that helps, then you do it. If it doesn't help, then you sort of hold back, think a little bit about it, and then you do it. So I think having that purpose articulated in that sense, or at least having the journey of your purpose in mind, certainly helps, even when the days are tough, even when there seems like no other way. When you have that purpose, it's sort of like a small light that sort of lights up all the dark around you. That's how I sort of see purpose.
So let's, again, I always talk about purpose as a renewable source of energy that continues to drive you forward, but it's also your light switch, right? It just, you turn it on and it dispels darkness. So darkness is just a metaphor. You yourself can be the light that enters a space. So just on a slightly different note, because I do want since I have you, on the podcast, so you designed our brand and you actually took the concept of purpose and put it into and articulated it through text, design, colors, logos, and that kind of gave life in a physical form to something that is intangible in some ways because it is so very personal. So talk a little bit about, that process that you went through. And for those that actually want to see what the work is, again, go look at it at purpose-mindset.org. But I just want to kind of get a sense of how does that happen for you?
That would probably mean touching a little bit about the design process as well that I follow. It is again inspired by so many people, every class that I've taken too. But for me, it was after we have had so many conversations about what the brand would look like, what the brand means for you, and the team, and what one thing that I realized was it truly means slightly different things for different people when they talk about their purpose. So the brand colors and the brand fonts and all the different combinations of it needs to be so that it's not fixed. It can there's scope for expansion in however the brand needs to evolve in the future. So we really tried, or I tried like so many different color combinations which might work. And then we settled on blue as the main theme. And it was a happy coincidence that your book too, that you had written after the previous one, was the cover of it was also blue. So I think we took that blue to be the centerpiece so that people know that there is that brand continuity. So we wanted to respect that. And then it was just a matter of finding out complementary colors, making sure that there was colors enough to stand out, enough contrast and things like that. There's a lot of iteration in there. I tried different layouts, even for the website homepage, what can work, what cannot work. Used a lot of things from our comm lead class that I had learned and tried to put that in practice within the brand. I'm pretty certain that we are fairly good at what the website looks now, and it sort of helps other people find information easily in the website as well. So I'm very proud of what we have achieved there too.
Well, again, just a pitch for designers. Design is a very important element of life. And good designers really can bring to life ideas, thoughts, emotions, and that gets attached to different kinds of meanings. So, Naomi, thank you very much for doing that work for us. So let's end by you just sharing your one golden nugget, just some wisdom that you want our listeners to get.
Again, thank you so much for this opportunity, Akhtar. I'm extremely honored to be here. I thought a lot about this question. And I think one thing that I would say that I actually do say to all the volunteers who come through the consultancy is be curious and be kind. I think those two aspects, it's so important in separate as well, but put together, it's such a powerful force. Be curious. I mean, be curious in life, in whatever we do. Be curious with other people around you, why they're doing something, what they're doing. Why did they react a certain way? Were they angry with you? Why? Just be very curious. Be curious with yourself. Why did you react a certain way? Why are you excited to get up every day morning? Why are you not? So being curious is such an important factor. At least for me, it's helped me come so much. And I think that's something I will hold on to moving forward as well. The other aspect was being kind. Everyone has such different experiences. Everyone has such different reactions to whatever. Even if it's the same circumstance, people react so differently based on their personal experiences and emotions. So be kind to people around you. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to the work that you're doing. I think be curious and be kind goes hand in hand. And that formula is something that I think will drive me forward too.
Naomi, thank you so very much. Again, this is such an important message. Kindness and curiosity goes a very long way. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. Once again, purpose is that renewable source of energy that continues to drive humanity forward. Get in touch with your purpose, live your life for purpose. If you want to learn more, visit our website. And if you want to be part of the book, Living with Purpose, reach out to us. Thank you very much, Naomi, and everyone for listening to our conversation.
Thank you so much, Akhtar. Honored to be here.